It's critically important to update your Social Security, my friends. Critically important. I'm just going to give you one example right here. My goodness. If you're not updating your Social Security in your retirement planning software, you're dropping the ball. All right, so I'm working with these guys from Texas. They no debt. I did a video last year, which I'll put a link in the show notes. That they retire with only $188,000 of investable assets? And the answer was yes. Now the issue is the husband, we'll call him Dan. He was going to work for a couple more years, all right, and they had no debt, not a lot of savings set aside. Again, $188,000 for everything, but they had a house that was worth back then $540,000 schmackaroonies. So the point being was that they're going to sell their house, move to a lower cost state, Missouri, Tennessee, Alabama, something like that, and use some of the equity from their home to buy a new home. Again, no mortgage, and use the rest of that equity to live on top of their $188,000. And they're going to stack cash too, which is what we talked about last year. And I'll link to the video because it's a great video, and Dan and just crush. So I just talked to them the other day, and we reviewed their plan again. And Dan just got laid off. Dan got laid off. He's done. He's done working. And he's 67, something like that. I can't remember exactly how old he was, but the goal was him to work for 3 more years. Well, that goal was crushed because he got laid off. Now, Dan's a guy like many of you are. That's why I get so just frustrated when people are like, "Oh, it's so bad in America." I'm like, Dan's a guy, a software guy, engineer. I can't remember, but he's a well-educated type, and he's not afraid to get his hands dirty at work in a crappy little job if that's what it takes to pay the bill. So he was working some highfalutin job in the aughts. He got laid off, and he said, "I need money. I'm going to go to Lowe's or Costco or Walmart." I can't remember. He went to some retail thing, and he worked until he found a new job a couple years later. I mean, this is what we do. This is what Americans do, man, is we adapt and overcome. It's just, we're so damn resilient. Just give like, you will sit there and say, "I'm resilient, but that guy down the street isn't." And that guy down the street is like, "I'm resilient, but that guy down the street isn't." And you're both resilient. The vast majority of Americans are crushing. Don't sit there and just let people, "Oh, the world's coming apart." It's just, dude, it's embarrassing. I hate it. I hate it. That's not saying it's all going to be freaking peaches and cream. When has it ever been in the world? Gosh, it's so frustrating to me when people are just whining. I'm like, what are you whining about? And then the bots and then my comments come out like, "Oh, it must be nice. You're so privileged." Anyway. So Dan, just like every one of you guys, did the same thing. They said, "Man, I'm gonna make ends meet. I'll do what I gotta do. I'll dig ditches at midnight if I got to. I don't care." So then he got back on his high haunch, working in software engineering or something. I can't remember exactly. I think it was software engineering. And now he just got laid off. And again, we had thought he was going to work until he was 70. He's a little bit older than Ann, like 6 years older, maybe 8 years older. I can't remember, 10 years, something like that. And he was going to do that to take Social Security at 70, and instead work until he was work until he's 70, and then he takes Social Security. All right, and then they'll sell their home and move to Missouri or something like that. All right, well those hopes and dreams are crushed because he got laid off. Now here's the interesting thing. I'm going to share with you a little bit of this video. Check this out. All right, so watch.
Much. She's not working right now. It's not much. Be $1,204 is her PIA, and she's going to file early.
All right, so you hear that. Her PIA is $1,200. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on a second. $1,204 was her PIA. All right, let's keep going.
Share with you why. 1204 is her PIA. She'll file early. It'll be 30-something% of that right there, so $800 or so. Dan's, on the other hand, is right here. Right now, his PIA is $2686. He'll file at 70 because he's older and most likely to predecease old Ann.
Hold on, hold on a second. I got to go back.
Hey, you have 50,000 a year in Social Security when Dan's 70.
All right, so between Dan and Ann, they're going to get about $50,000 a year in Social Security. All right, that was back then. Check it out now. All right, cool. Watch this. We're going to get about $63,000 a year in Social Security. That's a big jump, dude, because of huge cost of living adjustments. Look at that. So they were going to get about 50-odd thousand. Now they're going to get about 63,000. Now probably a little bit more than 50,000 in the past, but still, that's an extra $10,000 a year in Social Security because that massive cost of living adjustment we had last year is huge. And I think we ran the numbers from I can't remember exactly, but if you got to update your Social Security, you have to, because if you don't, your numbers are less than what you're actually showing. Because I mean, literally, this is $10,000 a year difference for Dan and Ann. Now, does that make all the difference for them? No. Actually, their house went down in value. It used to be 540. Now we're saying 490 because there's a couple other houses on the market that they're trying to list now. But they got what happened was in the Dan's last since we met a year, something like that, a year and a half ago, something like that. He's been stacking cash. All right, so they got a lot of cash now that they can wait. So they're going to list their home. And obviously I'm not going to show that to you, but they got a lot of cash that they stacked because he's making 120. Now he's done, but over that 120, they had no debt. He was able to stack cash. So I think they got like, I don't know, $80,000-$90,000 of cash right now, maybe even 100,000. I can't remember off the top of my head. He stacked cash. On top of that, the markets fell. All right, so the markets fell. So their portfolio is actually less than what it was, but with the cash they've been stacking, they have a liquid net worth that's higher. Social Security is $10,000 a year higher, even though the house went down in value. Interesting. Isn't that weird? Yes, it is. Yes, it certainly is. They're going to spend about $6,000 a month in retirement. That's $72,000 a year. They'll live off their savings until Dan files for Social Security. $6,000 a year. They get about $5,500 from their portfolio, from their Social Security. So they're going to sell their house. We'll just say $500,000 they sell it for. They buy another one for $200,000, $300,000, give or take. So we've lost. Before they were going to sell their house for $550 and buy one for $250. Now we're selling our house for $5 and buying one for $3. So we've lost $100,000 in equity and net worth in terms of their ability to sell and purchase something. So they got $200,000 of equity now, and it might be a little bit higher, frankly. We don't know, but be that as it may, $200,000. Plus now they're sitting on not 188 in liquid assets. They're sitting on, I forgot what it was. Hold on a second. Let me see what they got here. Now they're sitting on their total net worth is 776, whereas before it was like 725. So they increased their net worth by $50,000 because he did work that extra year. And a lot of people say, but Josh, working extra year can make all the difference. It can if you need it to, but you don't have to sit there and say, I have to work an extra year because it'll make all the difference. You don't know that until you crunch the numbers. And here with Dan, we thought he was going to work 3 extra years, or basically until 2025. I can't remember, but another 2 or another 3, and now he's done. So his net worth went up by $50,000, even though the price of his home went down by $50,000. The net worth, the price of the home they're going to buy went up by $50,000, but Social Security went up by an extra $10,000. And by the way, check this out. This is their previous asset allocation right here. You can see they were heavy in stocks, and they, again, only $188,000, 5.9% annual rate of return with a 13.7% standard deviation. And if we go down here, we're only clocking in at 76% probability of success. Well, now they're clocking in at 100% probability of success. Even though they've added $50,000 of net worth, they've still lost in terms of the purchase and sale of a new home about $100,000. They're still well ahead of the game. But check this out. We're going to go to asset allocation right here. So we need them to get a 5.3% rate of return. Interesting. Where can you get 5.3%? Anyone want to take a gander? Anyone want to take a gander? Yes, that is in money markets right now. So watch this. Put them all in the money market, getting only 3%. They're still coming out at 100% probability of success and still leaving downstream $153,000 of liquid assets. That's not including the real estate. And again, the real estate is debt free. All right, so they're still coming in strong. That's with all money market. That's at 3%. What's money market is paying right now? It's paying over 5%. Anyway, to say the least, Ann was in teared up because she never thought it could happen. And so, but how much they spend? They're still spending about $6,000 a month. It includes health insurance. It includes about $50,000 a year on day-to-day expenses, the cost of utilities, filling up the car with gas, taking some vacays, whatnot. $1,000 a month between them for health insurance. Dude. They're spending $6,000 a month. They're getting basically I don't know what I said about Social Security. The vast majority of that's coming from Social Security, and they're not going to pay any taxes. Anyway, just update your Social Security. It makes all the difference. All right, love your thoughts. We'll see you.